All right, so we go to Denver, Tennessee, and the Broncos. Titans and Broncos is not exciting to me at all, and I don't think this game has a lot of fantasy impact. Tennessee side of the ball, you get a rookie quarterback going against one of the better defenses in the league in the Denver Broncos. And it doesn't spell well for Cam Ward. Now, he could outplay expectations. I just anticipate a little bit of struggles here. He did struggle a little bit at times during the preseason, so I know this will be a full game with all the starters, but I can anticipate the secondary giving him some looks that he hasn't seen before. So I think Cam Ward is a quarterback 3 for me. I've actually significantly downgraded him for this matchup. Even in his debut, the point total here is a lower point total. He got 42 points on the board, and a lot of that's going to be through the Denver side of the ball. But I think Cam Ward will struggle as a rookie in his debut, which is expected. So if you drafted Cam Ward, chances are you're not going to get a super strong game from him ceiling-wise. Could he outproduce what I'm thinking? Absolutely. I'm just not anticipating it off the QB2 radar for me this week. As far as Calvin Ridley goes, another tough matchup against Patrick Surtain is probably going to shadow him a lot. And Calvin Ridley, obviously, is going to have a good season with Cam Ward. Best quarterback play he's had, at least since he has since Trevor Lawrence. But I think Calvin Ridley is still on the back end wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 radar, just because we got to see what Cam Ward looks like. And it's a tough matchup across the way for him. So you drafted him as a wide receiver 2. He's more of a wide receiver 3 flex for this week. I'd be okay if you even bench Calvin Ridley if you had a stronger option outside of that. So Calvin Ridley to me is not must start. He's more of a wait and see, in my opinion. If he has a strong game, good. Now you're good to go for the rest of the season. He's matchup proof. I think he can be a matchup proof player. I got to see Cam Ward first, and I got to see Calvin Ridley be able to beat a matchup like Patrick Surtain. Better days ahead for Calvin Ridley. I don't think this is the one. Alec Aomaner is also going to have opportunity this game. He was listed as a starter, which is surprising for a rookie. But if Alec Aomaner can get on the field and find a way to win, it's going to be a tough matchup for him as well. But just a name to keep on the radar. I'm not saying to go pick him up in every single league. I'm not saying to start him in any form or fashion. Just a name to note here in this matchup. As far as the ground game goes, Tajay Spears is going to be out for the first portion of the season. So Tony Pollard obviously has a lot of opportunity ahead of him. And if you're going to beat Denver, a lot of times you got to do it on the ground. This unit's significantly gotten better since the days where they were giving up 70 points to the Dolphins. But Tony Pollard, it's not a huge ceiling game for him. This is more of a floor-based game where he's going to have some opportunity and probably some volume in the passing game as well, as I'm assuming the Titans are going to be playing from behind at some point here in this game. So should see some game in the passing, should see some work in the passing game, and then also volume in the run game as well. I think they're going to give Tony Pollard all the work he can handle. And then as far as the Denver side, Chig, I'm not really worried about Chig in this matchup. Maybe he has some tight end to appeal. We'll talk about him if he does some damage this week. There were some talks about Chig having a connection with Cam Ward this offseason. I'm not counting on it. And then on the Denver side of the ball, Bo Nix profiles as a high-end QB2 for me this week. Could get ugly early on with Denver. I feel like they could, probably slow things down as they get the lead on this Tennessee team, this young Tennessee team. So Bo Nix, to me, high-end QB2, probably lacking some ceiling in this game. And then as far as the receivers, I think Courtland Sutton's really the only receiver I would trust here. He's more of a wide receiver 3, high-end wide receiver 3, back-end wide receiver 2 for me this week. And this is a floor play more so than a ceiling play. I think he needs a touchdown in order to hit that huge ceiling, which he could have. He's been a touchdown machine over the years, but Tennessee has been tough on receivers, especially when they slow, this game might slow down a little bit. I think Courtland Sutton is a floor-based wide receiver 3. As far as Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, let's see who the number 2 is on this team. There was talks that Marvin Mims was going to take over that role, but then Pat Bryant kind of emerged. There's this Michael Thomas talk, and then the team traded Devon Vele, who was having a strong camp, so to speak, and now we have Pat Bryant potentially taking some starting reps. So Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, I'm waiting to see which one is actively involved in the lineup. I'm not sure that I would trust either of them right now. Even in like 14, 16-team leagues, I would probably leave both on benches. You have better options. As far as the running backs, J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, which one do you start? Most people drafted R.J. Harvey ahead of J.K. Dobbins. And I think that's for later on in the year. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to get a healthy amount of opportunity here early on against, a Tennessee defense that was soft at times last year. Jeffrey Simmons was in and out of the lineup, a big piece of that offense or a big piece of that defense. So they'll have to be better on the defensive side of the ball. But when I think about what J.K. Dobbins brings to the table, this is more of a 12 to 15 carry type back. I think R.J. Harvey will probably be somewhere in the 8 to 10 touch range. And if he outproduces that, the change is going to come a lot sooner than I think, and where most fantasy analysts have him is as the starting running back taking most of the touches. I think that's reversed right now. Could happen in the future. For now, I think we see a little bit more JK on the ground in the red zone. We see RJ Harvey in pass catching situations and probably more of a change of pace back. So I trust J.K. Dobbins as a touchdown dependent RB2. I think that's where we really see maybe he gets to 80 to 100 yards. Not a whole lot in the receiving game. And I think RJ Harvey is a wait and see bench player. If you need to start him, he's more of a flex. And you're hoping for probably 3 to 4 catches in the passing game. That's what I think when it comes to JK and RJ Harvey. Could I be wrong? We're going to find out very soon. JK, RJ, the initials. Is that what we're going to call this backfield? The initials? And as far as tight end goes, Evan Ingram in a really good spot here. I think that this team is going to utilize him. They've talked about having this joker, and I think they're going to get him heavily involved early on. Now, the matchup doesn't scream that it's the best. Tennessee was top 5 against the tight end position last year, but I think Evan Ingram is going to be utilized in many different ways. We've heard Sean Payton talk a lot about using their joker, quote unquote, as somebody who can be out the backfield. They can use him in the slot. They can use him out wide, somebody with great hands. And he said he didn't want to call RJ Harvey that, but he did call Evan Ingram that. So I'm curious to see his usage around the formations and whether or not we're getting some dialed in, kind of crafted touches for Evan Ingram. Even in a tough matchup on paper, I think this defense might be a little softer than the top 5 they were against the position last year. I'm curious to see what Evan Ingram looks like. I'd fire him up as a top 10 tight end option this week.